Hi, my name is Steve. I'm 45 years old, and I come to the Rock Church with my wife and my 3 daughters. So I want to tell you a little bit today about my story and my story of growing up and not feeling good enough for God and feeling like I had to prove myself to Him. So to give a bit of context, I grew up in a Christian family, incredible parents. They were missionaries, which gave me the opportunity to travel and to go on trips that they were on and to have a broad experience of life at a young age, which was incredibly exciting and a lot of incredible memories. One of the things that I grew up with was a very competitive family environment too. I had 2 older brothers. We were all fairly similar in age and a younger sister. And competition was something that came naturally to all of us. We enjoyed sports. We enjoyed all sorts of competition and spurring each other on. We used to go cliff jumping, and it was who could jump off the highest cliff. Any sports, it was win at all costs. So that was kind of the environment I grew up in. And to give an example, I remember we were swimming one day at one of the local swimming pools here, and we were trying to see who could swim 2 laps underwater, I think 25 meters each length. And none of us could do 2 laps. And I remember my final attempt, swimming back, and about halfway across, I could see the wall in the distance, murkily through the water. And as I was swimming along, it was getting darker and darker. And the next thing I knew, I woke up coughing and spluttering. I'd held my breath until I passed out. It's just an example of the competitive edge and pushing yourself perhaps too far. So the reason I tell that story is that competitiveness, that need to prove myself, also played into the way that I saw God. I knew that God wasn't that way. I knew He was my Father and He loved me, but I still felt like I had to prove myself. I had to be what I thought was a good Christian. And for me, that meant making sure I had regular quiet times, that I read the Bible, I went to church, I did the things that a Christian should do. And conversely, then I should avoid the things that Christians shouldn't do. Going out with friends, and as I became an older teenager, drinking and partying and doing all those things you do as a teenager, it created this real tension in me that I knew I wasn't being everything that God wanted for me. And I was concerned with also making sure that I was able to fit in and enjoy life as a teenager as well. So I was quite involved in sports and playing for a rugby team at quite a high level, enjoying that. But with that came pressures to go out more and to drink more and to party more and do all those things, which I kind of felt I had to do to fit in. But then I had this tension that I knew that I was failing in my walk with God and proving to God that I was good enough to be loved by Him. So it was a real battle. And eventually I got to the point when I was 16 where I knew I couldn't keep doing both of these things. And my constant failure in my Christian walk, my constantly feeling like I'm not good enough and that I keep letting God down, led me to the point where I said, I can't do this anymore. And I remember saying to my parents and saying to those around me, I can't do this. I'd rather not try to be a Christian. I'd rather not try and pursue God because I'm going to let Him down every time. I'm going to keep failing. And I knew that was something that I had to reconcile with, but I didn't know what the answer was. So I spent the next 6 years doing what I wanted to. I still had my conscience. I still knew what was right and wrong. But I just couldn't keep trying to be a Christian, keep trying to reconcile these 2 different lives. And it led me to a fairly dark place. I spent 4 years at university, which was largely wasted. I came out with a degree, but not a good degree, not what I should have done. And really spent a lot of time pursuing things which were by no means what God had for me, and found myself a long way away from God. I remember coming home when I was 22, back to the YWAM base where I was raised in Harpenden. And there was a series of summer events that used to happen there. Young people from all over the world would fly in. And it was just incredible times. I remember these summers and just times of worship and times of God really moving. And me arriving back when I was 22 and being encouraged to go to this by my parents. And I felt like such a fraud because I knew that people had sacrificed a lot to be there. People had flown in from Africa, from South America, from all over the world to be there. And there's me, a local boy, not wanting to go, but feeling like I was coerced into going. So I went along and I felt like a charlatan. I felt like I was just there because I felt guilty and that I should go because it was on my doorstep. But I went along, and for the first time I met God, and I met God in a way that He accepted me. I didn't have to prove myself. And He taught me that I didn't have to strive for his love, and that all I had to do was be still and to receive his love. And it's still a challenge for me today. I still feel like I need to work harder on my relationship with God, and that I need to keep making sure that I put him first in all things and do that in a demonstrable way. But that lesson to know that God loved me and that I didn't have to do anything to earn it, and that he accepted me exactly who I am with my flaws, still wanted to be the best version of me I could be, but knowing that I would never be up to the standards that I would try and set for myself. So it was a real challenge to just learn to accept and be still, and to know that God is God, and that I don't have to prove myself, and that he loves me exactly as I am.